This version of Biden, intellectually, analytically, is the best Biden ever. As I've said on the show, I spent 3 hours with this man, maybe back in March. 3 hours. Cogent, on top of the issues. Last night, he simply was not on the biggest debate stage.
Ain't nothing changed, nothing new here to see. This ain't nothing but some political maneuvering.
America.
Welcome to the eulogy, eat it up. It's called political buffoonery.
Hey there, everybody, and welcome to This Week in DUMBmocracy, where we showcase some of the dumbest newsmakers of the week. You know, gang, lost in the shuffle of the whole Biden debate debacle that happened late last week, spilled over into the weekend and early this week, is that there were real people mourning what happened to Joe Biden. None more so than Mourning Joe himself. MSDNC's Joe Scarborough is a big fan of Joe Biden, in case you haven't been following lately. This is the second presidential candidate crush that Joe Scarborough and Mika Brzezinski have had in the past couple of election cycles. And it really showed on this week's show, where Joe Scarborough had to give up the ghost of how vital and how vibrant Joe Biden is based upon this debate performance. Joe Scarborough is now scrambling once again, for the sake of democracy this time, to see what can be done to salvage this race. We're going to get into this story and show how Joe Scarborough and Mika Brzezinski are basically sycophants and not journalists. But before we do all that, I'm going to ask you guys to please subscribe to this channel. Hit that notification bell so you don't miss any other shows. And if you like what you see in here in this or any other video on the channel, smash that thumbs up button, like, comment, share the show with your friends, all that good stuff, because all that feeds the YouTube algorithm.
Well, let's feed it.
Thank you guys again for all that you do to help grow the show. And for all you newbies out there who may have found us for the first time here, I hope this video earns your subscription as we talk about Joe Scarborough's fascination, let's call it, with different presidential candidates. This time it's Joe Biden. We're going to look back at what he was saying about Joe Biden pre-debate, and then take a look at post-debate, and look at this disturbing trend of Scarborough and Brzezinski fawning over candidates and then seemingly turning on them. First, we're flashing back to the beginning of March of this year, and Joe Scarborough was talking about meeting with Joe Biden and discussing how wonderful it is to be around this president.
There's such a challenge for the Biden team because, as I've said here on the show over the past couple weeks, I've spent a good bit of time with Joe Biden. I've spent a couple of hours with Joe Biden, sitting, talking, going around the world as far as talking issues, talking the economy, talking inflation. And I must say, when I was talking to him, my thought wasn't, oh, poor guy. My thought was, oh, my God, I wish Dr. Brzezinski were on the other side of the table right now, because these two guys, 50 years of experience, and Joe Biden hasn't forgotten it. He may get pissed off at a press conference, and he may be thinking about the Mexican border deal and say Mexico instead of Egypt. He knows what he's talking about. He circles back around, gets to Egypt. He might misplace a word here and there, but you talk to him for hours at a time. Is he slower? Does he move slower? Yeah, he's moved slower. Is he stiffer? Yeah, he's moved stiffer. Does he have trouble walking sometimes? Yeah, so did FDR. We got out of the Depression. We won a GD war.
This isn't journalism. This is fanboying. Joe Scarborough is fawning over Joe Biden, talking about all the time he spends with him and what he's observing, how he's sharp as a tack, apparently, back in March of this year. Do you believe it, given what you've been seeing lately out of Joe Biden? I'll leave that for you to decide. But clearly, this is advocacy, not journalism. This is not even a discussion of the merits of policy or pros and cons or trying to provide analysis of anything. This is Joe Scarborough saying, trust me, bro. I've been around this guy. He is so cool. He is so knowledgeable. Sure, he's old and brittle and he can't move around too much, but neither could FDR. Can you believe that comparison, by the way? FDR and Joe Biden. Do you think there's anything in common between them except that they're both ailing while in the White House? This, as I said, this isn't journalism. This is fanboying by Joe Scarborough. This is what he does, by the way. He falls in love with candidates and personalities, and that colors and shades his point of view.
You're so easily influenced.
But comparing that guy's mental state, I've said it for years now. He's cogent. But I undersold him when I said he was cogent.
He undersold that Joe Biden is cogent, which means that Joe Biden's a mastermind, according to his number one fan here. Do you really believe that? Now, again, this is back in March. Of course, many of us who have been observing Joe Biden, his feeble body, feeble mind, we know better. We've seen it over the past 3.5, 4 years going on here, how he's lost more than just a few steps. But Joe Scarborough wants you to know, trust me, bro, I've been around the guy. He is more than cogent. He's a freaking rock star, and clearly, I love him so much.
He's far beyond cogent. In fact, I think he's better than he's ever been. Intellectually, analytically, because he's been around for 50 years.
Maybe that's too long.
Is he on top of his game? Really? This is Joe on top of his game. According to the reports, and we reported on this in yesterday's video, Joe is only on top of his game between the hours of 10 and 4. So if you catch him at those times, maybe Joe Biden's on top of his game. I haven't spent any time with him. I don't know that for sure. But fanboy over here seems to think that Joe Biden is the sun, the moon, and the stars all wrapped up into one.
Such a huge fan. I am such a huge fan.
This is, and I don't really, you know what? I don't really care. Start your tape right now, because I'm about to tell you the truth.
All right, tell me the truth there, Mourning Joe. I want to know the truth. Clearly, we're going to get it from you, and it's not going to be shaded in any way, shape, or form. This is going to be straight down the middle truth, objective fact even. Right?
And F you if you can't handle the truth.
Oh, kiss your wife with that mouth, sir? Come on, we don't work blue here on this show. Keep it clean, keep it clean.
This version of Biden, intellectually, analytically, is the best Biden ever.
Oh boy, if you guys believe that, let me know in the comments. You know what? Let's make this the topic of the day. Is the 2024 version of Joe Biden the best version of him? Is this him in his best form? Let me know what you think in the comments. I got a feeling, based upon previous videos, I know what you're going to say. Fast forward now to last Friday. This is right after the debate, and poor Joe. No, not Biden, Scarborough. It looks like he lost his best friend here. I mean, look at that poor face. Look at that mush right there. Oh, the poor guy and his wife sitting right by his side. Stiff upper lip and all that, Joe. Hang in there. Get through this monologue.
I'm not going to cry.
I think I should start by saying, without any apologies, that I love Joe Biden and Jill, and I will gladly debate anybody, anytime, any place, anywhere.
Ladies and gentlemen, get yourself a fan the way that Joe Biden has Joe Scarborough. The man's almost sounding like he's going to break down and cry over politics of all things. It's more than a man crush. It's more than fanboying here. I dare say this is true love. Move over, Mika. You're getting in the way of true love here, I think, with Joe Scarborough. This poor man, he sounds so downtrodden, so heartbroken over the reality of the situation with Joe Biden post-debate.
Pull yourself together, man.
I think we have to ask the same questions of him that we have asked of Donald Trump since 2016, and that is, if he were CEO and he turned in a performance like that, would any corporation in America, any Fortune 500 corporation in America, keep him on as CEO.
Oh, the quiver in the voice and the breaking up of his betrayal almost of his number one guy. By the way, do you remember when Trump was Morning Joe's number one guy back in 2016? We're going to talk about that after the break, but I want you to remember that in observing this political theater, this performance, this monologue to rival Shakespeare coming from Morning Joe.
I mean, these are hard questions, but the fact is, friends, failure is just not an option. In 2024, failure is not an option. So who I love, who I respect, who I revere for their work and their duty to service over their lifetime really is not relevant.
Well, thanks for wasting our time, Joe. You've been going on for a very long time now, between the video in March and this video, talking about how great Joe Biden is, and now you're telling us, take all my opinions about how great Joe is, throw them out the window, throw Grandpa under the bus, as it were, because we're dealing with something bigger than my love and admiration for Joe Biden. We're dealing with 2024. We're dealing with the big, bad orange man, Donald Trump, and oh my goodness, we're all in danger. It's so dramatic. It's fear-mongering is what it is. With whatever the size of his audience is, do people even watch Morning Joe, or they check out the clips like I do for shits and giggles, really? Let me know what you think about Morning Joe's show in the comments as well.
It's not relevant for any of us. It's not relevant for Democratic leaders. It's not relevant for anyone. Donald Trump lied over and over and over and over again.
There's that same through line that we saw in yesterday's video. By the way, going to put a link to that in the upper right-hand corner of the screen. It's the same through line that you saw from Kamala Harris, you've seen from Nancy Pelosi, how Trump lied, and that should be the story coming out of the debate. What he lied about, I couldn't tell you. We can go through the fact checks if you want to. And for every fact check that's out there, I'm sure you can find some proof of the basis of what Donald Trump was saying. Again, Donald Trump, not the most artful speaker. He probably got a lot of facts wrong and made some mistakes during the debate. I certainly believe that. But this through line of he lied. They say it 4 times. Pelosi said it 4 times too. Isn't that a coincidence how all the Biden defenders are sticking to that lied through line? It's almost as like they're planned or something. I don't know.
And Joe Biden couldn't respond to any of those lies. In fact, as the New York Times said, he spent much of the night with his mouth agape and his eyes darting back and forth. He couldn't fact check anything Donald Trump said. And not only that, he missed one layup after another after another. He couldn't respond effectively to Donald Trump trying to overthrow American democracy on January 6th. He couldn't respond effectively to Donald Trump's continued stream of lies about his own record. And he couldn't even respond effectively on the issue of abortion, where for some reason he darted wildly to the issue of immigration. This race should not be close. We've been asking, why is this race close? We have no idea why this race is close. We saw last night why this race has been close.
Well, look who caught up to the reality that we've been talking about on this show for a year now, that other people have been talking about for the past 3 years, how Joe Biden has lost it up there. He's lost a step, feeble body, feeble brain. We've talked about it ad nauseum. But it's nice to see the sycophant, Joe Scarborough, wake up to reality. Reality slapped him in the face, and clearly he's going through it. The poor guy.
And why I fear Donald Trump will be the next president of the United States unless things change. I'll just say, as I've said on the show, I spent 3 hours with this man, maybe back in March. 3 hours.
That's the video we showed you earlier, just for context.
Cogent, on top of the issues, on top of every issue around the world. And last night, he simply was not on the biggest debate stage ever. And I think what surprised me and what surprised a lot of people very close to Joe Biden is the fact that this man always rises to the occasion. And last night was sadly for him, and I believe for Democrats in this country. And again, if you believe what's at stake at this election is what we believe is at stake, I'll even use the word tragically. He tragically did not rise to the occasion last night.
Aw, poor Joe. He's going through it. You gotta really feel for him, but he's got a little bit of rose-colored glasses on when it comes to Biden, don't you think? He always rises to the occasion, like he did at that Juneteenth speech where he mumbled and fumbled and bumbled his way through it, or during his trip to Maui where he was recounting stories about his own kitchen fire in comparison to neighborhoods lost. Or maybe he's talking about Joe Biden on different stages, like the G7 stage, where he's wandering around not knowing what's going on around him, that other leaders have to pull him back to the situation that they're supposed to be observing and things like that. That's Joe rising to the occasion? Come on. When we come back from the break, we're going to talk about Joe Scarborough himself and his history of doing exactly what you're seeing right now, falling in love with a candidate and then seemingly turning on that candidate for whatever reason. This is not journalism, folks. Let's reiterate that. This is sycophancy from a real hack. Like what you see so far? Go ahead and smash that thumbs up button. Also, leave us a comment and tell us what you're thinking. And don't forget to subscribe so you never miss another show. From Fox News' Joe Concha, this was published yesterday in the late morning. Where are the Joes? Scarborough, Biden laid low after embarrassing debate. Morning Joe host drags down MSNBC's credibility after embarrassing 180 on Biden's fitness for office. Let's get into the article right now. It's Monday morning, just 126 days before the most consequential election of our lifetime, since the last most consequential election of our lifetime. But two men named Joe are curiously absent from the public eye. Let's talk about Joe Scarborough rather than Joe Biden, because we know that he was in Camp David preparing for his week ahead. Scarborough, the former Republican congressman who helped get Donald Trump elected in 2016, those of you who have a long memory, you probably remember that, by having Trump on his MSNBC morning program no less than 41 times, is also laying low. Before he turned on Trump, his interviews were so fawning, so cartoonish, so hospitable that Matt Taibbi, who we've seen on this show, is a pretty decent journalist, wrote that, quote, Scarborough and Brzezinski should be herded into a rocket and shot into space for their brown-nosing of Trump.
I don't care who you are. That's funny right there.
But once Trump got the nominations and Scarborough and Brzezinski faced considerable backlash from MSDNC viewers for being in the tank for Trump, they both did a 180 and became the most anti-Trump voices on the network. We've seen that, by the way, in these two clips, how Scarborough despises Trump. Basically, he is the second coming of that bad man from WW2 that was in Germany. He's horrible. He's going to destroy democracy. He lies, he lies, he lies, he lies. We've seen all that before. Here's a quote from November 2023. Trump will imprison. He will execute whomever he is allowed to imprison, execute, drive from the country. Just look at his past. You know, we've looked at his past. Trump didn't do that in his first term, did he? Oh, look, there are the faces of Biden for the debate. Meanwhile, how's that been working out for Joe Scarborough? Every poll shows Trump winning the debate that we saw last week by significant margins. Had it been a fight, the referee would have stopped it. Yeah, that's pretty true, right? Those of us who watch that debate cover to cover, we see that Trump really wasn't on his game, but he did enough because Joe Biden did so little. For Scarborough, the unofficial chief of staff of this White House, this is not the time to take off work. And don't say this was some sort of pre-planned vacation, because I'm pretty sure his wife Mika would be there with him instead of hosting solo this morning, which is what happened on Monday morning. To be blunt, MSDNC has had more than a credibility problem for some time. More than any other network, it pushed the narrative around videos of Biden falling or wandering away from world leaders, as he did recently at the G7. They called them deep fakes. Scarborough even went further in defending Biden with his Whopper with cheese that Contra calls it. I like this over here. Quote, I have spent a good bit of time talking to Kevin McCarthy through the years and hours with Biden in 2024. There is no comparison. Biden is far sharper, more intellectually curious, and far more insightful on global affairs than any House GOP speaker I have met over 30 years.
What a load of crap.
On Monday morning for Mourning Joe, Scarborough was nowhere to be found. So the day after this, the video we saw was on Friday. On Monday, Scarborough didn't go to work. His wife went to work and flew solo. So what does that tell you? I think it tells you quite a bit. Not only is Joe Scarborough just really taking a gut punch from this debate from his hero and savior, Joe Biden, but he's also a coward. Scarborough's a coward not only because of his failure to show up to work on Monday morning, but because of the pattern he has developed with presidential candidates that he fawns over and then later stabs in the back. With Trump was on his show more than 40 times during 2016, during the Republican primary, and after he helped his then choice get the nomination, he shrunk like a little violet under the pressure of MSDNC viewers who noticed that he was in the bag for Trump. So what does he do? He goes in the bag for Biden, and he vilifies Trump to the point of cartoonish proportions. He's the big bad evil guy in every Dungeons and Dragons run through, right? He's the big bad evil guy in every movie. He's like the bad people from Germany circa World War II. He's going to end democracy. He goes all in on hating the person he used to love. With Joe Biden, he went all in, doing the whole fawning act as well. They talk off the show. They're buddies. They hang out together. And Joe is carrying the water for Biden. Joe Scarborough carries the water for Biden. He's cogent. He's his best self. He's the best version of Joe Biden I've ever seen back in March of this year. And a few months later, look at the tune he's singing now. Not only because of the reality of what happened with Joe Biden, but again, because of the pressure from many in the Democrat establishment to call for Joe Biden to be removed as the candidate, as the nominee for the Democrats. So what does Scarborough do again? He falls right in line. He starts questioning whether Joe can be the man again. He starts pointing out all the flaws in Joe Biden's candidacy, and he laments it this time. Instead of vilifying Biden, he's lamenting what happened to Biden on that debate stage because he can't do the whole vilify thing again. He's already done that with Trump, and he has to keep that up with Trump because, well, that's what he has to do. He has to keep up appearances. Now the appearance he has to keep up with Joe Biden has to do with, oh, poor Joe, and by extension, oh, poor me, for the limb I climbed onto for Joe Biden that is now cracking right at the trunk. It's getting ready to fall down. Joe Scarborough is looking for his exit ramp from Joe Biden, and I don't know if he's reached it yet, but given that he didn't show up to work on Monday morning, seems like he's heading towards it.
So long, suckers!
Joe Scarborough is not only a hack that I talk about in my book, which I'm not going to plug right now because I've done enough plugging for a while. He's also a sycophant. He falls in love with personalities. He joins cults of personality. And then when they don't live up to the hype or there's some other external pressure exerted on him, he folds. Joe Scarborough has zero backbone. He has zero values, zero commitment. He goes with the flow whichever way the wind is blowing. And that's why you need to avoid buffoons like this. Because if you get caught up in the flow, you end up losing your own ability to independently think and evaluate the merits of what is going on in political discourse. And that's what's happened to Mourning Joe. So let's talk about this in the comments, guys. Let's see what you think about Mourning, Joe. I think this is the worst type of hack journalist buffoons that are out there. They're not there for the work that has to be done to evaluate candidates or to even pass on knowledge. They're in the position to be a fan, and fans are the worst when it comes to politics. Fan comes from fanatic, and boy, Scarborough and his ilk are fanatics. But that's my opinion. I want to know what you guys think in the comments. But as always, please like and share the video with your friends. Subscribe to the channel. Hit that notification bell so you don't miss any other shows. Let's talk about this sycophant and all the other shenanigans and buffoonery happening every day this week in DUMBmocracy.
All views and opinions expressed here are not necessarily of the mainstream media and may offend some listeners. It's called political buffoonery.